I'm Ben. I've been at Riverside for about over a year, I think, but in two different stints. So also a member of the welcome team here. You might have seen me now and again. What difference has Jesus made in my life? I'd say initially when I was coming to church when I was growing up, I had a very selfish need for Jesus. In that regard, I only went to church for myself. I knew all the answers, so I knew all the answers. So it's that kind of, I went to church for my own self-gain rather than the other way around. And when I was about 14, at one of a Christian summer camp, I met Jesus and he totally flipped it upside down. I think the main thing that stood out to me is how different Jesus was to people at the time. Like he'd speak to everyone, speak to the outcasts of society. He'd speak to women when everyone else wouldn't. Think about the Samaritan woman at the well. He'd dine with tax collectors. He'd give everyone a chance to get to know him, get to know God. So I began to go to church, enjoying the fellowship of the family more, growing as a Christian with brothers and sisters around me. And yeah, Jesus really showed me the joy of giving to others as well, rather than just wholly receiving. So that's me mainly in church, but I'd say he's also changed my personal life quite a lot. When I was at university, for my first year when I was at church there, I really felt God speak to me through my music. So one of my hobbies is writing music, and one of my favourite things to do is now write about Christ, as I say. So I used to write music solely for my own personal interest, like worldly problems and stuff, but God showed me that maybe use it as a way of worshipping and learning more about Christ. So yeah, I've done that in the past. It's about the past 3 months I've tried to employ that quite a lot, and I've really felt closer to God as a result. I'd say one of my recent projects took me to Ecclesiastes, which is, if everyone knows the book, it's kind of a very depressing, life is meaningless book. But looking deeper into the whole meaning of it, I've learned to realise that life, as you look at it, can't really be controlled. If you try and control every aspect of your life, you might fail at some point. So I've learned to step back and let God work in my life a bit more, and try and appreciate what God's given me. So I've appreciated my church family, more, my friends, and just being in Birmingham. I love it here. So stepping back and really giving God room to work in my life rather than blocking him out and pursuing my own self-interests in terms of jobs and stuff like that. So that's really developed me as well. So I wouldn't have done that if it weren't for my writing music. Through that, I've learned that at times the Bible is brutal, and doesn't quite give the answer you want. But knowing that God's way is right and accepting that, I've learned to try and think less selfishly as well in that regard as well. So. And it also helps with being able to answer other people's questions about the faith. Outsiders who aren't necessarily Christians might have huge questions that Christians don't tend to have. So being able to actually guide them through those answers, I think, is quite a nice tool to have if you've got it. So, and I'm working on it. I just love the fact that you can express your love for Jesus, your love for God in a creative way. And I think that's what Riverside does, press with all the acting and the dance areas. Expressing your love for Jesus creatively is so important, I've realised. So yeah, I'd say that's how Jesus has changed my life.